Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. It's Monday, super nice day, especially for mid-February, 7 p.m., 64, I'll take it. But what I feel terrible about, kind of harsh in the vibe, is how long overdue this video is. This stuff was brand new when I brought it in, and that was in June of last year, so my apologies on that front, but it does not take away from how cool this stuff is. So, as you should know, anytime you place an order with a KC tool, $75 gets you free freight, $100 nets you a German tool sticker pack, and anything at all that you purchase, whether it's $100, $5, $2, gets you a bit of thanks. Currently shipping as a number 2 from VIT. Now, what we're going to do here, I'll try to get through this as quick as I can, and we're going to go back to this. This, many of you have probably recognized, most of you, I would hope, by this point in time, have picked one up. The reason I say that, it is fantastic, and you think, oh, hey, Hazet, nope, no way, too spendy. This actually isn't. This is a fantastic bargain. Just straight up right now, retail price $14.61. If you go to KC Tool and check out, boom, you get this, you get a bit of things, you can go to town. And, what we're looking at, it's just a very comfortable, very ergonomic handle. It's sort of it's hard to tell from this angle, but it's almost got like a bit of a tri-lobe built in. This is not by any means the star of the show, but what's really important on this, aside from the fact that personally I dig the color scheme, it's comfortable, it's just this locking mechanism is amazing. So many times, whether it's locking, whether it's just magnetic, whether it's spring retention, the complaint you can have, regardless how good the handle is slop in the bit. This is like a rock, okay? If I had to just off the top of my head pick a bit holder that had the locking function, or somebody said to me, they came up and said, hey, you know, they put I guess we can't say these things on YouTube, but they were going to end things for me. And they said, unless you can recommend a great bit holder, I would just throw them this, and I'd say, get 20 bucks, go get it. And they'd come back, and they'd be like, you, sir, are a genius and a gentleman. And yeah, we'd leave it at that. So if you've never used it, again, I'll have this linked for you, but if you've never used it, I highly recommend it. And again, if some of you, might be like, oh, Hazet, no, I'm too spendy. Sub 20 bucks. This is one of those things, maybe let's say tool of the day. We've had some good ones recently. We had the Hazet 916 HP. We had the Stavilla double open-ended metric wrench set. But let's say it's like the pliers wrench. Some 10-inch pliers wrench is tool of the day for 65 bucks. And you're like, sweet, I need that. And you pull the trigger and you're thinking like, wait, what does that guy always tell me? He says, tack something on to get free freight, and you wind up getting a tool for free and not having to pay for freight, right? This is that item. This gets you from 65 to 79. You get 2 tools, both fantastic, and you didn't have to pay freight. If you had to pay freight, there's a good chance you're going to expend this amount of money or more, unless you're like just down the road in Kansas type of a thing, right? So it kind of becomes a no-brainer. If you, again, do not have this, you will love it. It's also magnetic. I can prove that very quickly. Will do. Got a tiny little hex key here. Check it out. No trickery on my end. Hopefully you heard it. And you see it. Clearly the locking mechanism has nothing to do with this. This is the magnet. So I've got miles and miles. This holds standard bits if you've got a bunch of 89mm stuff, if you've got long stuff for specific items. If it fits standard bit holders, it'll fit this bit holder. This thing is a steal. So, moving from there, we're going still back in time. We had the introduction. That, by the way, is Hazet's 810. What is the part number on that? 810BH, I believe. So think bit holding. And then they introduced the 810BHK. This costs $16.33, which is like almost $2 more than that cost. And you're like, oh wow, what is this one? It must be super jazzy for $2 more. You're like, whoa, pint size, what's the deal? I can't tell you. Maybe those are like far greater quantities in manufacturing, who knows, but this came out, and this is essentially everything you know and love there in a compact iteration. This is not part of this video. We've also showcased this. Some people might actually like this mechanism better. You're going to pull down to release. You'll also have to pull down to insert. So it is magnetic. Hopefully you heard that right. It's locking, and it is stout as well. So I believe again that we've made the video on that. I've used that a lot, especially with wiring stuff. Some of these items you're probably going to have seen in a work video. So my apologies there, but this sets the precedence. This is sort of the background foundation that you need to understand everything else you're about to see. So shortly after that came out, and why it went in this direction and that came first, I don't know. It's just what they did. Maybe it was different overseas, Europe, Germany, who knows. But for the American marketplace, at least the way KC Tool stocked things, this is tried and true for years. This relatively new, again, magnetic locking. Then they came out with the 810 BMK. This is almost $1 less, currently at $15.49. Here it is in the bag. I don't believe I've used this one, but I do believe, I'm trying to think what I have at work, because I use the snot out of it. I feel like I would have done the locking one, but I'm not sure. It is essentially the exact same thing. It's just a situation where this is magnetic, this also magnetic, but this has the bit lock. Okay, so if I come in over here and we grab let's just do it fancy, we'll put a PB Swiss in it. You ready for this? And it's posi for the European audience. Boom. Not near as tight, but still very good. Nothing. The reason this seems sloppy is in part because of how good the locking mechanism is on these two. Again, I do not overstate that. I encourage you to investigate it, especially at a low price point. And again, as of recording this, I don't make jack. You could go buy 20,000 of those and it nets me nothing. Okay, I say that just sincerely as somebody interested in helping you get tools that don't suck. So why would you want this? Well, if you love this or you have this, it's essentially a situation. This provides, yes, a better bit hold, but you're getting slightly shorter profile here. So if we're coming into a crevice, let's say maybe, I don't know, 6 inches, you could fit this and go to town. You couldn't fit this. Again, we're just using theoreticals there, but that came about. Now, around the same time that came out, Hazet had released some other new products, but we've got to time hop once again and go back in time to an advent calendar. What happens in German advent calendars from the tool companies? What do they usually do? They typically tease new products, aren't quite available, aren't, standalone purchase. Sometimes they're in like exclusive configuration, sometimes they're testing the waters. Oftentimes you're going to see those same items release maybe spring, summer of the following year, maybe year and a half, maybe never, who knows. But it's typically a situation where when you pick something up in an advent calendar and it's new, it's kind of the entry point to the marketplace. And that brings us this and this. Again, these aren't considered part of this video, but they're important because this little screw gun, which I actually do like, believe it or not, and I do run it quite a bit, it came with some really nice bits. And then we have this, which is kind of their smart case. And it kicks back, you've got a bit holder, and you've got all these wonderful, wonderful bits. It was this, and having to painstakingly go through and nest each one, where I was like, you know what, Hazet has really nice bits. And you're thinking like, oh yeah, those would pair beautifully with any one of those 3 bit holders. Great video. Not quite, because think of that. Think of some of the other things they came out with, sort of big, bulky, super cool. They've even got things that compete with the, I can never think of the name, the Tool Select, dadgum, Tool Check. Yes, believe it or not, I do not own a Wera Tool Check. I know, crazy. But they've kind of got their own iterations there. Obviously, quite a people continue to go with the Wera one, tried and true, and it's significantly cheaper. That said, what Hazet did is they came out with some stuff like this. Okay, and again, in my work video, I'd already, kind of brought these in. I loved them, and so I picked some up for work. I have used the snot, basically the things you see here on the Omega M. I have that in my cart at work, and I use them all the time, the places I can go. And I even they don't have SAE hexes, which is still sad to me. But I have to use never can remember if it's a 3 or a 4. I think it's a 3mm. On some gland nut screws that I constantly have to pull out and reseal, and that thing actually fits, at least on 2 of them. One of them is a nightmare. One requires the other side requires a bit ratchet, but this stuff just, I don't know, something about it I really like. If you also recall from work in similar time frame, you have the Hazet HP90 line, right? Super nice ratchets. That's where it started, with a 9/16 half-inch drive, but then they kind of filled out the void. You got quick releases now and everything. This is the bit holder. 90-tooth hyperfine bit holder. And guess what? It works with all this stuff. So, let's talk about this stuff. Right here, this is kind of, if you need Phillips, this is sort of your jam. Again, they've got some other kits. They've got security Torx and more metric specific things. Obviously, they've got the posi drive stuff. And you've got to remember, you could populate these custom. It just depends what you want to do and how ticked off you'd be with the labeling. But this really, really appealed to me. And if I can flip this paper over, again, these prices on this side might be a little bit older. I'll tell you why here in a second. But this one is going to clock in at $28.20, at least back when we bought it in June of last year. These are just so nice. And again, it may not be everyone's cup of tea. Maybe I'm too excited about it. I don't know. But to me, the packaging appeals to me. Even the literal packaging. But the profile, the aesthetics of it all, it's just super, super nice. If I come in and we get a good look at this, you can see easy visible. I can tell I've got slotted in a bunch of Torx here. And it's that's not what we need. We need Phillips, so check it out. We've got some more hex stuff. And then we've got Phillips. So this would come in more handy, like if you're sitting here and you had Torx, security Torx, or Phillips and posi in the same set, and you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that I can tell now. The way this works, you can either pull out here, or what I find easier is to come in from underneath, essentially right here, push, push, and boom, they kick back, they sort of lock at this point. I am in and out of the one at work all the time. I've sort of just left it open. It doesn't really leave the cart. It doesn't really add to the profile. It's not like it folds out all the way anyway, which that's also kind of nice that it does stop there. Flip side, downside is, I guess it's more likely to break at some point in time. But like I said, I typically just have this up and there's multiple bits always missing because they're out in other drive tools. That said, let's come in here and we're going to try to get that to focus for you. Grab the middle Phillips, which we can only assume is a number 2. I'm showing you this for good reason, because similar to what Wera does with the Take It Easy tool finder, Hazet is kind of color coded and labeled these. I have hydraulic oil that runs down on the hex bit all the time, and it's still intact. I can still read it. I don't know how long it will hold up. Obviously, haven't had that set up at work for a long time, just a couple of months, I guess, at this point in time. But it's just something about the whole package here kind of got me. I mean, I'm usually not one to, get excited about those types of things, but this just appealed to me. The downside, and I will admit the downside, they don't have as big of a range. I'm optimistic that they add that. However, there are an awful lot of German tools that I would love to have in SAE sizes that just don't happen, and they're old standbys. And when you don't see those come to fruition, you kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe they're not going to do that. Case in point, like when I look at the hex keys, the specialty stuff, the T-handles, the dual drive ones in particular, Gador, Stavilla, they make really cool stuff, and I can get it in metric, I can get it in Torx, but they don't have an SAE offering. This could be, like I said, this is kind of your SAE iteration, if you will. Phillips, the 2 slotted and then a couple of Torx. The exact set contents, I suppose we should cover that for you. If I get that to where you can see it, you're going to have two slotted, a 4 and a 6.5, so they kind of jump 5, 5.5. Pick your poison again. Obviously, if you've got bits, you can swap them out to your liking. And they're not size specific there, so the labeling would still work. Obviously, yellow being slotted. That was the same setup with the Take It Easy tool finder, by the way. And I'm looking at some ball grip drivers over here, so I can confirm that's accurate. You got your Phillips 1, 2, and 3. Right here, this is oddly enough something that I use out of this. The 3, 4, and 5, and 6 millimeter hex. Okay, like I said, it's either the 3 or the 4. I'm pretty confident it's the 3. But those are there. I wish they offered this with, even if it wasn't this setup, just like sell me the SAE hex sizes, you know, type of a thing. I would sort of be content with that. And then next, you've got 7 Torx bits. You've got T10, 15, 20, 25, 27, 30, and 40, which is pretty impressive, going up that big in such a compact little setup. So that was super cool. If we come in and we take a look at this set beside it, there's 2 reasons I wanted to pick this up. One, to investigate the longer bits, which I believed would be just like these, which are out of the frame. And also, very useful. So, coming in, this was actually a little bit cheaper, $21.85. You think, whoa, how could that be cheaper? They're longer bits. Well, there's also half the quantity, so pick your poison. But again, it wasn't a huge difference. 21 to 28 type of a deal. But what we have, these again, if you recall, if I flip this up, and you know that whole bottom row is Torx, okay, which you can see with the green. Well, guess what we have here? That's right, Torx. So if I flip this around, let's go right to the back for you. This is T10, 15, 20 times 2, 25, 27, 30, and 40. I might have liked to have seen the 25 twice. But guess what I can do? I can go in and I can buy one and I can plug her in. So, profile package here, super nice. Flip it up, again, same type of a kickstand type of a deal. Doesn't fold out all the way. So if you put this in your box and you've got the drawer height, you can just leave her rocking 45-degree angle. Let's grab the T40 here just for a visualization. Once again. Get that to focus a bit. Just think of it again, just your standard double length bits, and they seem very well done. Like I said, I haven't had these a long time, but I have had them. I do use them, and they've held up. The bits, like I said, they're just really well done, and this was all predicated on my fascination with their SmartHolder stuff. So whoever designed that, whoever came up with it, kudos to you, because I dig it. And, well, that said, I think I realized this switch. All right, well, apparently if you change your camera mode, you'll shut off. So my apologies there. But yeah, I was super excited with all of this stuff. And you're thinking like, wow, that's a really cool video. And you know, let's go back to this case over here from the advent calendar, because you can get a really good look at the color coding here. So what do we know off the top of our head? Yellow is slotted. We know that the blue, sort of the sky blue, Hazet teal, whatever you want to call it, will be metric hex profiles. We know green is Torx. There's a lot of Torx in there. Red we know is Phillips. And then right there, that black, if you zoom down, you see PZ1. Yep, it's Posi. And then right here, the pink. What in the world is the pink, you say? Security Torx. You got a T20 and a T30. So you're thinking like, man, yeah, this system is appealing, but I'm already set with my Wera stuff. Well, totally understand. Again, like I said, crazy for someone, especially like me, that's been heavily focused on like German tools, that I don't have a tool check. But it is what it is, man. And this just appealed to me. We do have some similar stuff from Wiha, but preparing this, and especially for what I did at the work cart, this just worked beautifully. Now, this could be a great video, but we're going to make it better. We're going to ratchet it up to some really crazy stuff that came out a little bit later. Again, we've kind of time hopped a lot here, so oldest This advent calendar stuff would fall in line after that. Then somewhere probably the bit ratchet. Then we would have locking compact, non-locking magnetic compact. Mix that in roughly with all these bit sets. And then you had this crazy stuff, okay? And these prices have changed a lot since I bought this. When I picked up this next item, which is 866BH-4, it was 20-something bucks. I think high 20s, but it was in the 20s. It's now $42.26, so inflation is a thing. But right here, we're going to throw it down. Again, you can confirm 866BH-4. This thing is sealed, okay? I have not messed with it, and it's killed me. But we got similar items, right? And you're gonna see this sucker, and I think you're gonna enjoy it. So what do we have here? Well, we have got T-handles. You should know by now. Okay, if you are someone who hates a hard, and I'm talking like a hard and slick plastic handle, think of you like your Harbor Freight Pittsburgh T-handles, right? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. This is grippy. I had no idea it was like this. This is nice. It adds a very, very premium feel to this product. But this black textured area here, it's really good. Again, you might hate it. Maybe you want it to be slick, you know, but if you slide off of your T-handles or you hate it or something, this is a stupid nice change of pace right here. So, what we have, if you haven't figured it out yet, it is basically a dual drive T-handle. And what in the world are we going to do with it? Well, take a wild guess. We're going to pair all of these wonderful bits that we've picked up with it. So we'll come in here. Hopefully this is a T25. Labels were facing back. We nailed it. How sad it is that you can feel the T25 and just know. So we come in, we take this long Torx bit. Again, this is just magnetic. It is not locking. Based on what I feel in my hand, I would love, especially, you can kind of get a hand behind this and zoom in. If I get a hand back here, you can see the part number is, again, made in Germany. This isn't like some Taiwan or Chinese junk they're slipping in on us for a premium price. See this part line here? This is sort of the shaft, and then this nests in. It's going to be your magnetic bit holder. I would love to see a locking version of this T-handle. It's same length is fine. Just make this the locking mechanism that we have. Heck, even from that, the old guard one. That would be fantastic. Again, this seems like a lot of play, but it's because you're used to something like that. Otherwise, this is fantastic. Pretty good access here. Again, you're either a T-handle person or you're not, and I am. And you're thinking like, okay, well, what's this? Well, it's a hanging hole. So put it on a hook, put it on a pegboard, whatever. Lanyard, you know, tie it, put it on your dog, I don't know. Make it useful. But this side over here, you think, well, what's the deal there? Is that a nut driver? No, no, no. Once again, it's a magnetic bit holder. And you think, well, that's stupid. Why would you ever need that? Well, for leverage. Okay, typically you're going to have a longer reach, but that's what that would be designed for. Is this is just kind of your leverage, and this is sort of your spin action side. Really, really impressed with this. Again, I wish you can't know what I'm talking about without being here, but I think if you look through the camera, maybe you see the dust like you typically see on Felo ergonic stuff, right? It's very, very well done. Again, this was been in a bag since June. I had no idea. I just assumed it'd kind of be a hard plastic T-handle. This is stupid nice. Very, very, very happy with that thing. And again, some of you are thinking like, you know, that's cool, but you made a good point there, unfortunately. Number one, like, you don't get the leverage that you typically have. Like, even with just think of a standard Wera, a Hell key, right? When you go down on the short side here, you got a lot of length over here, and this guy's kind of stubby, you know, like this is sort of like your dinky, you know, Craftsman 300 piece X key, right? You're not going to get a lot of leverage with this guy. You need that extra length that comes with the premium ones, you know. I admit that is kind of a buzzkill, but you can also dual wield if you want to. This is spaced sometimes on these. The thing I really hate, especially with the dual-sided L keys, is their size so small, your hand is always going to be there. If you keep the grip like this, you won't have issues there. But there is a solution. Before we get to that solution, this is what sets the channel apart, right? We gotta check out some other stuff. Recently, I finally showcased these right here. This Felo refresh video and this Hazet stuff was so far past due. Felt tragic. This yellow is a hard plastic. This rubber, the black, sort of has like a slight grip to it. It is nowhere near the grip of that. Again, this is personal preference. Some of you, this would be too grippy. Some of you, this is not grippy enough and you would prefer that. Others will go this way. Some of you might be like, gross, you know, they're soft and rubbery. I want a hard plastic. And I don't know your personal preferences. The good news is this guy has gotten expensive. At the $28 mark, it was, you know, pretty good. $43, you'd sort of have to really be interested in it or think you're going to like it, or just know that you've hated every other T-handle and you can justify pulling the trigger. The Felos are hard to beat for the money. This is a magnetic one. There's no locking mechanism. But look at this. If I look at this tag, I'll zoom in so you know I'm not lying. Okay. You're going to see, not 338, that's not what we're concerned with, not quarter, but 125. What is that? That is a length in millimeters. What does that translate to for us in old man terms? Imperial, SAE, fraction land, 5 inches. And what is this? This is not, but if it's part 4-4, you know, you kind of wonder, hey, is that going to be 4 inches? Well, we know this isn't. This is 2.5, but if we come in from sort of the tip down to where your actual hex bit would probably terminate, standard, not extra length, 4 inches. Overall, from the top crown of the handle down, let's just call that 3 3/4. Now, if we come into this Felo, you're going to see that you're sitting at about 6 1/4. That's significant difference, especially if this was dual drive like the Hazet, but it's not. So what do? Well, you come into something like this from Wiha. This goes way back. These are the classic Wiha handles there. But you'll note, dual drive, this is magnetic. This is a hex profile with that then on the end. If we come in and grab another bit of things, again, you know, a bit of, those are so good, they make everything else seem bad. Okay, but the thing is, if I come to the end here, we stick that in, check this out. We now have serious leverage, so you get that down and you can actually bear on that, sort of like a breaker bar. You cannot do that. You cannot generate the same torque loads with that little guy. That said, this might be too long. The 125 might be too long. This might go places where those don't go, and that could be a big advantage. However, what if I told you that you don't have to have the 150 or the 125 from Wiha to make things happen? You don't even have to go this route. Okay, this Wera, what's the limiting factor here? It's got what I want. Okay, check this out just to give you an idea. Very, very similar OALs on these, but it has the locking mechanism, rapid adapter, that we wish we had as an option here. Some people would prefer magnetic, and I get you probably wouldn't want to run one here, but I would love to see this perhaps in a 150. 125 would probably be best. 100 and 150, so split the difference, right? Make it 5 inches. With a locking mechanism would be sweet. But you can come in and you can go this route, right? Ratchet it up a level. How? Literally ratcheting. Okay, but what if Hazet has already kind of thought like, okay, hey, this is, think of this as your compact iteration. Well, what would that possibly mean? Well, that would mean we have another tool before we end this video. And this one's really cool, and it's a situation. I have messed around with this one quite a bit, I'm not gonna lie. It was a long time ago though. When I picked this up, this was like 60 something bucks, and again, that was June of 23. Currently the list price is $83.63. This is Hazet's part number 866BH-14. You're thinking like, it's like the same part number, but that was a -4. Oh, -14. It must be the long. Okay, yeah. I know where you're going, buddy. You're just going to have a long iteration of that. Dual drive, extended length, you know, cool. Awesome. But does it have the locking mechanism? Well, sure looks like it does, doesn't it? And you think, well, okay, cool. So it's got, oh, hey. What's going on? That locking mechanism is a really long ways away from the end of this, which looks like it would be magnetic. Again, hopefully you always hear the magnet. That's what I go for when I quit talking. And you're like, okay, well, is it locked in there? Like, okay, I don't know what those crazy Germans have done, but that triggered some internal lock mechanism, right? Sadly, no. So you say, well, that's really stupid. That's just going to get in your way and be cumbersome. And hey, there's not a dual drive on this. It's got the hanging hole, but it's totally missing this end over here. Yeah, it does not have dual drive. Kind of a shame, sort of a buzzkill. But there's something special about this. And you think, well, yeah, it's way longer. I mean, just look at these two side by side, right? You know, just keeps going and going. It's like the Energizer Rabbit. The Felo is hidden under the Wiha. Check that out. There's your 125 on the Felo, and you think, okay, well, hey, the Wiha is going to give it a run for the money. Well, yeah, it sure will. It's definitely the closest competitor, and you think, oh, okay, so that 14, the -14 on the end means that this thing with that weird mechanism just goes 6 inches. Cool. I think I'll buy this and save a ton of money. You say, well, yeah, you could do that, but there's something that this Hazet can do that the Felo can't, the Wiha can't, the Wera's can't, and that Hazet can't. And you think like, okay, well, oh, wait, silly us. He's going to twist it and lock it. Okay. I know exactly what you're saying. You're saying, moron, you twisted it the wrong way. Quit screwing around with us. Okay, so here's the lock. No, wait, you've been working out too much. You can just pull the bits out, but it should be locked, right? It's not going to mechanically unlock itself. No, check this out. You think, that sounds sloppy. Get that bit out of there. You say, what does that do? What in the world does this do? Well, if I pull it back, and you're like, put the bit back in, moron. Just get this over with. You know, my wife needs to go to bed, you say, as you watch this late at night. Well, check it out. Okay, so if I hold this back, oh, how do we get the bit to lock? Well, spoiler alert, we can't. And you say, what? Why on earth would this be here? Well, what if I do this? Let me not pull the bit, but let me grab this part. Like, what just happened here? Are those teeth? Are there teeth in the shaft of that? You're like, wait, is that a detent of some kind? Wait, can you lock it there? What is this guy doing? What's going on? What's the world come to? I don't understand what I'm seeing. Well, check this out. Now if I just keep going, oh no, you've broken it. Well, yeah, kind of. But we can plug it back in. And I will tell you right now, folks, I cannot fit this in the camera, okay? And what do you mean? What's the payout? Yeah. So, granted, again, you really, can that fit? It sort of can. Cool. Didn't think it would. You think, oh, that's amazing. And some of you that you're going down right now, scrolling through the description, finding that thing with the timestamp for your convenience, and you're going to go check out with it. Others of you are like, yeah, kind of cool, hadn't seen that, but what's the point? Well, think about it. How many times do you have to go through the course of the day when you're doing something and run a giant extension? Just today and last week, because I finished everything except one motor. Some of them come crated. And so I'm sitting there, and what do I have to do? Well, either get down on my hands and knees and become a contortionist, or I run like an 18-inch extension off of a 3/8 ratchet, and I drop it down to the 9/16 socket, and I run the lag screws out. This is a T-handle, essentially a 150, with a built-in kick-out. And if you're curious, the lengths that this goes to, it is 205 millimeters to 358 millimeters. Okay, so right here, I think I might be one away from the last. It sort of gets difficult to nail that down. Let me see if I can make it happen. All right, this is definitely max extension right here. So just coming from the base of the T-handle down to the lock, I'm going to call that 6 1/4. Coming from the base of the lock to the end of the tool, almost 8 inches. With the bit, it's like 8 1/2. So what do we do? If we run all the way down, we'll take a look. Do you see that number 14 on the tape measure here? Yeah. We're going from the base of the T-handle, again, not the crown, but from the base where the shaft would begin out of the handle, all the way down to the end of our number 2 Phillips. You're clocking in at around 14 3/4. If you go right about to the tip of the magnetic holder, it's 14 freaking inches. That's insane. Can we make this happen? I want something dramatic for you, or will it catch every time? It would catch every time. So it's not the smoothest operation. That's something you could legitimately cite, but it's so freaking cool. And again, this is a situation. This might be too short. Okay, the 125, the 150, I legitimately feel like those are fantastic lengths for a T-handle. Do you sometimes need a longer T-handle, maybe up to 208 inches? Sure. But for typical run-of-the-mill stuff, something in the 100 to 150 range, can think 4 to 6 inches, is really good. If you have this in your toolbox, maybe you use this the most, right? Maybe you use that Felo, and that's your bread and butter. Sometimes it's too big, you jump to this. This would serve a role. Again, you have to be a T-handle person. You have to have an application. And again, the beauty of this, they didn't make this a telescopic T-handle with a fixed end on it, right? By having the bit holder, we can come in and we can adjust to what it is that we want to see. That is a very, very big deal. Also, you can do some really stupid stuff. Let me grab a few items and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so this little guy right here is not one of my German ones. I've actually got quite a few of them. They're very reasonably priced from Vit, but this is a magic little device that takes quarter hex, where you typically plug in a bit, and it turns it into quarter square drive. What can we do with that? Well, Mr. Bougie, we can do this. We can stick this on, and now, since you were just too good, you had to have a locking bit holder on, or maybe it necessitated it. Let's not make you, excessively, crazy in your preferences. Let's just say, like, if you drop this down and you can get your fastener going, there's a good chance it's going to rip out, right? Maybe you've got an RBRT bit in or something. Who knows? This allows you to run, in this case, a rapid adapter. Hazet actually has a mechanism that we could use as well in this case, which I do not have. I would love to pick one up, but some of you might be thinking in more simplistic terms. Check this out. What have I done? I put quarter drive on it. I can take this Hazet 9/16. And what have we just done? We've turned this into a nut driver. Okay, so now when we come and we pull out, we're able to drop down this full extension, and we've got 14 inches of access. You can go some places with that, okay? And then you've got a really nice T-handle on the end. Like, this is totally out of the camera, okay? If I lift up, boom. This is, again, something I don't recommend you buy, just to try it out. Try that out, test the waters there. But if you have a specific application, or, if you're a T-handle person, you think like, okay, I know exactly what I would do with that. This is like heaven sent. This is one of those things where you've probably been on a tool truck and you've said, you got a telescopic T-handle? And the guy's like, what? Idiot. No, I don't have that. And get out of here. This is something, again, it is spendy. I would love to see this on Tool of the Day. That's a situation where then, if you can pick this up cheaper than the standard one, go this route, save the money. Then if you like this, you can say, hey, I love that thing. It's a little too big sometimes. I'm going to go with this guy too, just pick that up if that were to happen. But it's one of those things. This is not for everyone. This is not for every job. It's clearly large, right? It's going to be an impediment a lot of the time. It's also going to go places your standard T-handles will not go. Having the magnetic end on it allows you the option to control. If I need this to be security Torx T20, we can do that. If we need to run T50 stuff and we've got the bit, we can do that. If we just need number 2 Phillips, boom, it happens. If you're going way, way, way down and you've got to turn some crusty old slotted screw, you can go that route. The sky is really the limit, it's your imagination, whatever you can come up with and cobble together. But this is just super cool, and it pairs so well with all these other fantastic tools from Hazet. Apologies there, I screwed up last night. I didn't bring a drink out here. I didn't do it tonight either, and I learned to regret that quickly. Or at least when we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did have one more item I thought paired really well here, but I think this is probably a pretty long video. And the other items, which, spoiler alert, maybe from Hazet, I thought, it ties in better here, but now, just due to time constraints, I'm gonna save it. Rest assured, I think they're pretty cool. And if you're a Hazet fan, or if maybe you're totally oblivious, you had no idea these smart tool holders stuff existed, you had no idea about these locking bit holders, the compact bit holder, the T-handle dual drive, the extended telescopic T-handle, if you were unaware of all those things, and you've been turned on to Hazet, I think you'll enjoy the next one too. But like I said, this was sort of, again, the advent calendar, kind of like this setup here did two things. It made me very impressed by their bits, and it made me intrigued by this whole system. I like the compact nature. Of course, the Wiha Go box, can't really go wrong there. But these have a lot of appeal, especially this. This is something, if you'll note, I haven't even covered this, but if you wanted to wear this on your belt, you could do that. Again, think if you're up scaffolding, if you're, riding, a skyjack or something. You just have to climb a ladder, for frick's sake. It's always nice to have something on you. Similarly, you can strap that, run it in through a cord, on your bag or your backpack type of a deal. Just essentially keep these up out of harm's way and secure. You're not going to open this up, pull your bit out, grab the bit that you need, you got the wrong one, and then the whole thing cascades down a roof. Or straight down to the floor. This shatters and the bits go. No, you can secure it if you want to. Play at your own risk. Spoiler alert: I have not dropped that. Probably shouldn't have said that, but I haven't dropped it. As I mentioned, this exact set is in the cart at work, and it just stays open, and it gets used a ton between these three tools. And I do not have these at work. The T-handles, they were specific for this. Again, they are pretty spendy and not as frequently used, in my opinion. But man, what I would like to see from Hazet out of this line is honestly basically take this little gem, put it down, I'd say at like maybe 125, but put a locking bit holder the same as you have here or here, probably here for your color coding, right? That would be a fantastic T-handle. I don't even have to have dual drive. I think that this one, again, it is compact, which again gives you access that those don't go to. This gives you access that this and those don't go to. But this is sort of on the small end of the spectrum, and this, even retracted, is, make no mistakes about it, on the big side of the spectrum. That 125 from Felo is a really, really nice length, in my opinion. Again, your application, I'm sure, you go in and buy one, first thing you're hit with when you need it is probably going to be like 150. You're like, if you go out and you get the Wiha, it's probably going to be too big. It's just how life works. Maybe a shorter telescopic one, like maybe if this was, like right here was your start point, and it would extend out to say 200 millimeters, and you could then pair those two. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts. What I really want to know from you is what you think of these smart holders. I know by this point in time, a lot of you, again, this thing is like a OG. If you're in the game at all, if you want to try Hazet, start here and save the money. And I think you're going to love that thing. From there, it might turn you on to their standard screwdrivers, or maybe you're like, whoa, you know, I gotta get some bits, and then you're like, hey, I got bits, I gotta get the bit ratchet. And you're like, well, I got the bit ratchet and the bit holder, I need the compact one, and hey, let's get the T-handle. It snowballs. That's what it's supposed to do. You find something you like and you run with it. By all means, if you pick that up and you hate it, or you come in and you're like, I'm going to get one of these, this guy totally sold me on that. If you hate the bits, you hate the holder, back up. You don't have to buy it, right? But, man, I was super excited about this when I brought it in, and it really, really sucked not getting to make it until now. Again, I'm quite limited in free time, and yeah, I should have done this a long time ago. My apologies. It's free, it's all available now, and I can't wait to use this. Is one of those things, it's probably not what I would reach for a lot of things, but I'm specifically going to, just to see how I like it. Again, this, I guess it has the same finish, I just didn't recall. This might, I guess it is the same. That, I love the dexterity and the feel of that. The ergonomics are good, but just the feel is really, really nice. Again, it's going to work more in turn with torque as opposed to spinning. But truth be told, when I do T-handles, I always like spin the shaft. Even if it's a hex key and it's one of the ones that has the hex shaft all the way, that's where I turn. And then this is just sort of like a pickup point, right, to keep the tool from falling. And why do I say that? Well, I'm usually running the T-handles upside down. That's the way it works. I've got the motor up in the air and spin it, and if I take my hand away or quit holding the T-handle, it falls to the floor because of gravity. That said, let me know what you think about this stuff. What strikes you? What struck your fancy? Do you think this is the coolest thing ever? Do you have an application in mind and this is a must-buy? Or are you like, I'll hand it to him, that's, you know, pretty... a lot of ingenuity there, but there's no application for me. I can't even think of anything, and I've tried to because I would like an excuse to buy it. Whatever your thoughts are, feel free to share them. Again, if you have the advent calendar, or maybe you've picked up some of their SmartHolder or tool check competition stuff, how do you like the bits? How have they held up for you? Again, I've used them quite a bit. Again, I don't think it's long enough to really be like, hey, these are amazing, the best ever, or, whoa, these really suck. They definitely don't suck, or I'd know about it and I would tell you. But, pretty happy so far. I'll just leave it at that. So obviously that's why this stuff is here. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on it. Again, what you've used, what you think, wow, you know, this is great, or man, that's really stupid, or it should have stopped at the Felo 125. It's perfect. Some of you want the Felo switcheroo. All right, I started to pull that out, and I will just stick with the new one. But the Felo switcheroo is kind of similar, but obviously not telescopic. But yeah, if nothing else, and you don't have this, I know this isn't the video for it, but highly recommend and endorse that. That's something I'll put my name on. If you like it, gateway into these compact ones if you need them. If you like the HP 90, maybe you got the 916 HP back in the day, this is a fantastic bit ratchet. That's another good segue point. Smart holders, you can go crazy. You can get like huge bit sets. You can get these small compact ones. Take it from there and then move into the T-handles. Unless, of course, like I said, you're a T-handle person, you've been looking for something that's perfect stubby length. This is amazing. Some people are just going to fall in love with this. Others of you are like, man, that's really cool, but I don't know where I'd use it. And that's fine. You should probably still buy it because it's just that cool. But I will leave it at that, man. I need to, like I said, pop them in or get some water or something. But man, this stuff is cool. And like I said, cannot wait to use it. I will force myself to use this even if it's not practical, just to get some seat time. The only negative, really, it's not near as, you know, like you can tell there's some play here. There's going to be some play down here. Obviously, any angle, any axis that you go upon, but that's not the point of this one. The point of this one is to go from A to Z, right? We're not going A to B, like this is going to the end of the alphabet. And that makes it super cool. That's why it's here. That's why I'm happy. I hope you are too. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know your thoughts on this stuff. If you like this and other videos, you think back like, yeah, that guy's who showed me that years ago and I picked it up. Well, maybe it's time to subscribe. If you subscribe, ring the bell, grab your telescopic T-handle, stick your 1/2-inch socket on the end of it, extend it out in front of the General Lee as you jump across the creek. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. Once again, everything you see here, I can even try to link like the Felo and the old school Hazet deal. I'll have them down below, timestamps, links. If you need to come back, check something out, do it. If you want to skip ahead, jump around, whatever, it kills view time, I don't really care. It's like, this is not a profitable endeavor, but it sure is fun, and that's why I continue doing it. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop.